Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to the English Lab with Mr. Hudson. Today we have in our midst a very special person, and we're going to delve into the topic of multiple intelligence as well as knowing about the pressures of being a student. So we have in our midst this special person. She's going to introduce herself. Hello, Miss.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Alejandra. I am 16 years old. I have been studying English since I was 6 years, and I'm pretty glad to be here.
Great, great. We are also privileged to have you here. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna start with a conversation. The first session has to do with multiple intelligences. Howard Gardner created the theory of intelligences, which says that there are 8 different types of intelligences or intelligence. We have logical intelligence, spatial intelligence, linguistic intelligence, like yourself, um, bodily kinesthetics, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic intelligence. Yeah. So, based on his findings, we're gonna delve into these following questions about multiple intelligences. Now, the first question I would like to put across is, can you name 2 jobs that you think would be ideal for each intelligence category?
Sure. Okay, I would say that starting with spatial intelligence, I would say maybe graphic design and architecture are both good careers that someone with this intelligence could choose. Linguistic, something related with politics, like politics science, and maybe something like being a teacher of the language we're talking about, teacher of English or Spanish or something like that. Then if we go with intrapersonal, I would say that being a sociologist or maybe anthropologist, both are good career choices.
Mhm.
For interpersonal, a psychologist and a social worker, both. Logical mathematical study just physics or mathematics, like pure mathematics. Musical, you can study music focusing on any instrument, or maybe studying for being a DJ. That is not like a career, but it's a job being a
Yeah.
DJ. And bodily kinesthetic, maybe a professional dancer or a professional soccer player. And for like ending, I think naturalist maybe a biologist or a biologist, sorry, or an ecologist.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, with all these multiple intelligences, which one do you think you would score the highest for?
I think that linguistics or intrapersonal, both of them.
Okay,
um,
any reason as to that?
I'm a person who likes to talk a lot with people, and so I have been said that I'm very good at that, at communicating in general. So that's why I think that maybe linguistic is kind of my biggest strength, talking about
Mhm.
intelligences. Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to linguistic intelligence, I know you speak Spanish and you speak fluent English.
Yeah.
What kind of what is your next line of language you would like to learn?
I was thinking about French. I actually started learning French last year, but I stopped doing it. So yeah, I think that French is the next one.
Any reason as to why?
I like it. I like French. I have a really good like impression about France in general when we're talking about education. So I think that having French is a way for you to like get these opportunities to go into France and maybe study something.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you would like to visit France one of these days, yeah?
Yeah, I would like to study there,
Oh, okay.
maybe. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you would like to study French, and in a professional way there, right?
Yeah, or here. But basically, like, study something related with my profession in France.
Mm. Now, first when we were having a conversation, I told you I like how your brother carries himself and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If in the future you should have a child, let's say a boy or a girl, which of these categories of multiple intelligences would you like him or her to have?
I think that all those categories are very important. So I would like her or he to have this like mix of all of them.
Mm,
But I think that intrapersonal intelligence is very important, especially when you're growing up. Like it's a very good tool for you to start, like forming your way of the your point of view for the world.
yeah.
So I will say that intrapersonal.
Mm. Okay. So we are living on planet Earth, and anywhere you find yourself as a human being, you would like to do something that can be of help to other people. Yeah. So, talking about multiple intelligences, which of these intelligences do you think can or could improve the world?
I will say that both linguistic and interpersonal, because both are talking about the communication like you can have with other human being, and I think that a lot of problems that we have nowadays in the earth are because misunderstandings between two people. So maybe both of these intelligence could improve our way to interact with others.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, among all these intelligences, be it bodily, kinesthetic, naturalistic, or intrapersonal, um, which one of these intelligence do you think is the most important?
Mm. I would say I think that everyone, like each of them are very important because these people have like each space or area of knowledge, and it's important to have them all. So I wouldn't like take or choose one in a specific. I would say that every intelligence is pretty important nowadays.
Okay, so talking about importance, when we talk about multiple intelligence, you are telling me, every one of them is important. Yeah. Which one do you think is the least important?
Mm, from my point of view, I would say that maybe I don't know. I cannot choose one because I
Yeah.
really think that each of them are like pretty important. So I cannot tell you like just this one or uh I don't know. I cannot choose one to say
Yeah.
that it's bad or something.
Yeah. I get you. You
Yeah.
know, um, when you put all these intelligences on a scale, you would like to know which which one is the hardest to measure and which one is the easiest to measure. Which one do you think is the hardest to measure and which one do you think is the easiest to measure?
I strongly believe that interpersonal is intelligence that is very difficult to measure because it's you with yourself. So it's like pretty difficult for another person to say if you have this highest or lowest intrapersonal intelligence. In
Mm,
the other hand, the easiest, I would say that is logical mathematical because these people like start shining in mathematics since school, so everyone knows that they are like pretty strong in this part of the knowledge.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you had people who each had high intelligence in one area of their lives, who would make the most money when you put together all these multiple intelligences? Who do you think is gonna make much money when the person starts applying this kind of gifts that the person has?
Hmm. Um, maybe the if we're talking about like people who start to like explore these kind of gifts of the
Mm,
intelligence, I will say that maybe the logical, mathematical, or the bodily kinesthetic, both they have like a higher potential to become a important person or make a lot of money with their intelligence.
mm. Okay,
Yeah.
and do you think that people who each okay, do you think that people can be labeled quote unquote a genius if they score very high um, score when it comes to intelligence?
Um, yeah, I think that we have like kind of a mistake there because we only think on of about like one intelligence, and it's a logical mathematical, you know. As I said before, like these kids, these people start shining with mathematics and logical things, and everyone is like, oh my god, he is or she is very good at it.
Yeah.
So I think that that one is the one that we're start calling like a genius, even though there are another kids with another like intelligence that are pretty good, but maybe because of the system we don't see them at all. So I would say that that level of a genius is with logical mathematical.
Mm. All right. So we've come to the end of the first session that has to do with multiple intelligences. Now we're gonna move to something that has to do with you as a student. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next session has to be with pressures of being a student. You know, you have been studying. All right. So initially, I was saying, um, being a student, you faced a lot of pressures when it comes to studying and anything that has to do with academics. Yeah. So, in what countries do you think it is hardest to be a student, and why?
I think that in those countries where the education is not that good, maybe the educational system does not support you as a student, because as a student you really need support, not only for your family or stuff like that, but for like the system. And those countries where that system is not the best one, it's pretty hard to be a student.
Mm. Can you consider Colombia as one of them?
Yeah, I will say that Colombia is one of them, especially when we're talking about college, university, like the superior education. That is how we call it in Spanish. That that education is pretty like for a student it's pretty hard, and the system it's pretty hard too.
Okay. In what countries do you think the system of education is easier for students?
I have ever saying about France as a country where it's pretty easy to be a student because the educational system is a pretty structured system and helps you like gives you tools for you to start being a good student, if you can call it like that.
Mhm.
So France is one of those countries where I will say like it's easiest to be a student there.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Colombia can't be considered as one of those countries?
I mean, it depends on the student because even though you have pressure when you're being a student, it depends on you how that pressure affects you. So if you're a good student, Colombia can be a good place for a study, because even if we are not the best country with education, we are a country where there are some opportunities, good opportunities, but it's not at the same level as countries like France. You know,
Mm.
it's not the same.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you think um, it is easier to be homeschooled?
Um, I think that it depends on how you study and how you like to do it.
Mm.
From my point of view, I am a person who loves to studying with homeschool studying, because I do the things by myself. I don't need like someone there. Um, However, I really like the lessons when you have your teacher and you can ask him questions and you can be there. So it's like a 50-50
Mhm.
from my point of view. Now it depends on how you like to study and how you learn the information in the easiest way.
Okay. All right. Do you think here in Colombia, a lot of parents, guide their wards or their children to be homeschooled, or it's not that popular here in Colombia?
It's not that popular. The parents here prefer to send their kids to a real school, uh, but in the last year, because of the pandemic and all the stuff that started happened, I think that it became kind of famous because those schools are schools that have been doing the homeschooling since a long time, and the normal schools start like being like having that weakness in the part of virtual lessons, but it is still being like more popular the presential school. Yeah.
Okay. So would you ever homeschool your child?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that keeps me from that idea is maybe the social part, because there is not real social contact when you're homeschooling. And
Mhm.
I think that it's pretty important for you to have like your friends of school and these kind of social networks. But I would consider to put them in homeschooling. I think that it's pretty nice.
All right. So talking about homeschooling and education here in Colombia, um, what do you think should be changed about the educational system here in your country?
Um, Maybe we need like to change a little the part of the topics that we have, because I mean, it's not an equal process. If you
Mm.
come here to a public school and you compare it to a private school, you're gonna see how the public school have less important topics, you know, like the topics are not well distributed in the years of school. So I think that we need to improve that part. We need like a real schedule for our topics to be teach and for the students to understand them in a good like timing.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you make of standardized tests? And do you think there is a better way for students to be evaluated?
Uh, from my point of view, I don't like standardized tests. I mean, they are difficult and they put you in a situation of a lot of pressure. And even if you know some topics, because of the pressure you have in the moment, you can forget them.
Yeah.
So I will say that it's a good way to evaluate students is with the scores they have in the school. I mean, a good student have been a good student all his school, yeah, and then they take this test and they are not good in that test because they were under pressure. So I think that schools maybe could start evaluating students because of like the scores they have in all the schooling term.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What do you or did you struggle most as a student?
Mm, I didn't struggle at all. I love to study. It's one of the things that I really enjoy. So I will say that maybe when there was a topic that I didn't understand, and then we have like this test coming soon, I did struggle in that part because
Mm.
you don't understand a topic, but you have to understand it before this specific day because that day is the day of the exam. So in that part, I will say that I struggled.
Okay, so talking about the school system, we have the students and we have the teaching body that has to do with teachers. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much stress is caused um, by students and how much stress is caused by teachers?
Mm, also, that is like 70% caused by the teachers and the 30% by the students because the teachers sometimes can be very, I mean, even if you understand them, there are some teachers that say something in the classes but then in an exam ask you about things that you don't understand at all. So the teachers and the exams that they do and how they teach cause a lot of pressure for the
Mm,
students. Yes.
yeah, okay. All right. Between being a student and being an adult, which one do you think is more stressful?
I will say that being an adult, like 100%, because being a student is tough. It's difficult, but you can manage it. I
Mm,
mean, but and you are prepared in some sense because all your life you have been studying all your life. But
yeah.
then the adulthood is something totally different because it's something that starts and you don't know how to manage it because you don't have the experience. So you have to start. Having these kind of things, I don't know, pay taxes or doing things of that an adult do, and you don't know about it. So I think that adulthood is pretty hard
Mm,
in comparison with being a student.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I think now you are prepared to face, adulthood. Yeah.
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. What do you think are the main differences between Eastern and Western education?
uh, I think that maybe the discipline it's pretty different.
Mm,
The discipline and like the way it works because I have heard that it works in a pretty different way.
yeah.
And here I think that here we have this relation between something that I have to study is something that makes me bored and it's something dull and I don't want to do it. And there is more like, yeah, it's something that I have to study, but it's good for me
Yeah.
because it's gonna be useful in some moment. And I think that that and the discipline are both things that are pretty different between Eastern and Western education.
Okay. So when you talk about the system of education, there is a structure for every system of education. Starting from primary, elementary school to high school to secondary or secondary school to college or university. There's a structure for that. Which of these
Yeah.
structures or which of these levels do you think is the most difficult?
Mm, okay, here the system works kind of different. So we have like primary school and then we have like high school, and
Mm,
that's it. I will say that when you have to like change from primary school to high school,
yeah,
it's pretty hard because in primary school you're like this little kid that everyone wants to protect from the world,
yes,
and then you pass to sixth grade, that is the grade when you start high school, and it's like now you need to do your things by yourself because you are now a big kid and you're like, what is happening here? So I think that that change is the part of school when you have to start changing a lot of things about how you think and about how you organize yourself. And so it's pretty hard.
mm, yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right. So we've come to the end of this session. And I
Okay.
would like to ask you, Miss Alejandra, um, you know, somebody might be listening to you and go like, I think Alejandra has a good level of English. If
Okay.
I should have the chance to talk to Alejandra, um, to give me some tips about learning English, what can she tell me? So, Miss Alejandra, what can you tell the people out there when it comes to giving tips about learning English?
Okay, I would say that it's pretty important for you to surround yourself with English. Like, change your phone to an English configuration. Start watching your favorite series on English. Uh, Start searching things. Like when you translate things, try to translate them from not from English to your native language, but from your native language to English. I don't know if that makes sense. Like start changing your mind to English, and it's pretty important. Like don't to uh, translate everything in your head, but
Mhm.
start thinking in English. I think that it's like the biggest thing. Yes.
Okay, great. You know, I have started this initiative or this project to help people around Colombia that already know the English language to practice with me, so that we can all create an environment where people might listen and go like, yeah, I think it's really possible to learn English without leaving your home country. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So what do you make of this project, Miss Alejandra?
I really like it. I mean, I think listening it's one of the things that it's in your way to improve your English, and these kind of things really are really enjoyable. So I really like it.
Hmm. Okay, all right. So we've come to the end of this interview, and I would like to say I really appreciate your time for being here. I wish you the very best, and hopefully, one of these days we're gonna come back and talk about a different subject. Thank
Thank you.
you for being here.
Okay, okay, thanks for the invitation. I really appreciate it.
All right.